the how to communicate.
Yeah.
That the communication issue is at the very root
Yeah.
of the problem. What we do is we say something and we assume someone says something and the other person assumes what they meant and responds with their interpretation of that instead of clarifying what they're actually saying
Yeah.
before we respond. And everything goes haywire after that. And after years and years and years of that, of all this, I kind of look at it as this is the primary relationship, and all these things get in here wedged in between. And that's hard. You have to really work on getting those out. And it all starts with communication. And people don't know what communication is. They start talking and they just keep talking, and how can the other person respond to something when all they're hearing is the last sentence that was said?
Yeah. And we've talked about this before on other shows, like some of those key things to communicate positively within a relationship is keeping it short,
Keep it short.
and to the actual point,
Yes.
opposed to, beating around the bush for
Yeah.
30 minutes and then,
Yeah. And just say what you mean in a nice way. Keep it assertive, not aggressive, not passive aggressive. And so learning how to have assertive communication, I would say, is the number one goal. And also that could be an upside of divorce. If you finally get a divorce, then learning some of these things. Because if you don't learn some things, you're just going to have a new relationship doing the same problem.
Exactly. And the number one thing that I learned from my divorce was it was outside of the fact that like I found a beautiful wife and now
you certainly did.
Yeah, and I know, I was meant to be with her. I know she was created for me. Like that I love. But
you're a great couple.
The funniest thing was all the things that I did wrong, I still had to end up getting right within myself in order to make this relationship last, the one that we're currently in. So I still end up having to do right anyway.
That's right. So. Well, thanks for sharing all that today, because you always do. And we'd like some comments. Listen to us on YouTube, Facebook, all of that. Yes. And then we'll be back with you next week on This Life Matters.
All right.
Bye, YouTube.
Well, no, we're not saying bye to YouTube. We're saying goodbye to the grid. We say goodbye to the grid.
To the grid.
We're still on YouTube. So I got a question for you.
Okay.
All right. So out of how many years of marriage?
Us, 45.
45 years. And so for you guys paying attention, as you know, I'm not 35. So I mean, I'm not even 35 yet. Right. So they have 45 years. They have 11 years that they were married before I even was born.
Right.
So of all these years, how many times have you gotten to a point where you just said, okay, I've got to reinvent this. I've got to do something different?
Oh, every day?
Every day.
No, I mean, I don't know. I guess I haven't looked at it exactly that way. I thought you were going to say, have we ever said, well, we'll just get a divorce? No, and the answer's no.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
That's never been a statement that we've made. I think that every time there's a transition, whether it's you've gotten a job, you've finished school, you have a child, you have another child, you move, all of those things. I think there's a lot of transitions that happen that we sometimes don't even consciously think about. But I don't know that we've actually had
to just do things
like
differently.
That.
So
within myself, I can't talk. I don't know about him, but within myself, once I realized I probably need to do so and so differently.
Yeah,
I do that a lot.
Yeah, you just do it once you realize it needs to be done.
Or I try to do it. I don't always get it done. Like, I think that in a marriage, there's usually one or two issues that people have from the time they get married, and they kind of stay issues, whether it's finances or parenting or sex or family of origin issues, dealing with family of origins and relationships and or it could be alcohol. You know, I think there's usually one or two issues that couples always deal with that they struggle with.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, no, I mean, I definitely know that they're there. I think the communication thing is always the biggest part. I mean, I've never.
Misunderstanding.
Yeah, yeah. Because I
Uh-huh.
think for the most part, there are some of those things that draw you to a person. In most cases, stay the same.
Yeah.
You know, if you think your wife is beautiful, she could gain 400 pounds. You're still gonna think she's beautiful. You know, like
Gosh, I hope so.
yeah. So like some things will just, you know, that part's gonna be there in most cases. It's just the like you explained earlier, the lack of communication. It
Uh-huh.
just eventually drives people to a point where
Uh-huh.
it's not healthy for them
Yeah.
anymore. They can't figure a
Yeah,
way out.
they need
Yeah.
a different way of communicating.
Well, I got one more question for you as
And
far.
parenting is a big issue.
Well, and that's my question
Yeah,
actually.
that's a big issue with people is how to parent. A lot of times there's agreement about a lot of things, but sometimes there's some real disagreement
Yeah.
about some things, and that can really cause, and especially now we were talking about divorce, that is a major issue in most divorces, I think, is how the other person is parenting.
Yeah, I think I had to get to a place of peace that was funny because I didn't care. I know what kind of father I am. So I never I'm not like, I never was the jealous father, like, don't bring no man around my kids type
Yeah.
guy,
Uh-huh.
like that wasn't me because it's like, okay, I'm their dad.
Yeah.
They know that.
Well, unless
And,
it was some
well,
abusive thing.
yeah, I definitely, yeah, that always, as a parent, that always
Yeah.
goes through your head. And luckily, I think the gentleman that I've been blessed in this regard, like truly, like the man that is now his name's Eric, that now is married to my ex-wife. Like he is a really good guy. You know what I'm saying? So I never was really concerned. Like, and we don't have the same views on anything really, probably. But I respect him, and I know I was able to look at him a few times and hear him. And he doesn't have to be anything like me, but I recognized that he loved my daughters, and that was good enough. I recognized that he loved my daughters, and I also recognized that he was good for my ex-wife. Like he was really like they are good together.
Good.
And so it was for me. It put me in a place of peace, but I was able to look at that objectively, and it was not because I had moved on or anything like that. It was actually when I had no one that I was able to look at their relationship and finally get to a really good place of peace. And I think that's something I
So
would.
you didn't have control over everything.
Yeah, and that's when abuse stopped too, because I realized, okay, God is in control and He knows what's best for His daughter and for everyone else involved. So that was a good thing, like. So we're gonna end the YouTube session.
Okay.
On that note.
All right.
So good show about divorce.
And
I liked it.
Yeah. Check us out on SoundCloud and Facebook and Twitter.
All right.
Okay. Bye.